Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to Prime Hour on my Media Prime. Very, very sad day for the people of Boya. Very sad day for the people of the Southwest region. Very sad day for Anglophones. Very sad day for Cameroonians in general. One little kid who was on her way to school to seek knowledge lost her life because of an action from a gendarme officer who also saw his life taken away in the most brutal of manners by an angry mob that could not contain the fact that this little girl was killed. It's really difficult even to present the program, but we have to discuss it. We also are going to be discussing on the facts, asking the question as to why conflict resolution experts have not been used or seen as being used as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned. Is it the fact that they do not exist in Cameroon or the fact that they have been sidelined? What about historians? We've heard very little from them as key actors as far as the ongoing crisis is concerned. What is going wrong? We are discussing these two topics this evening with our panelists who are in the house already. Dr. Ngwanyam is a social entrepreneur, politician, and an educationist. He's in the house with us. Good evening, Doctor, and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. It's such a difficult evening, and I didn't even have the energy to come to the studio. But even before we get lost, I'm glad that Apostle Ambe is with us. Why not just say a 1-minute prayer for the soul of this baby, please? Pray for the baby and their families and the whole nation.
Father, we come before your throne with a heavy heart. We come with pains and anguish. We've lost 2 precious souls in our nation, Cameroon, today. Despite the series of deaths we've recorded, this particular case of today has touched the hearts of every Cameroonian. We ask you that this blood spilled today will serve as the sacrifice that will put an end to all the other bloodshed. Lord, have mercy on this nation, Cameroon, as we turn and look up to you. We pray also you will sustain and fortify the families who've experienced this great loss today. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
We are in the company of Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa, who just prayed for us, for the baby and the family, prayed for the nation. We also are in the company of Professor Mark Anthony. Good evening and welcome.
The opportunity to be here again. It's actually a sad day considering that we began the day of today with the loss of a kid who could be one of us, our kids, our grandkids. It's really something that is not really easy to talk about, but we thank God for the opportunity. We pray that it will be used as a means to actually put an end to this madness that is going on right now. It's really madness.
We're going to start the program with the atmosphere as it looks like out there in Boya today.
I'm not a people, I'm a journalist. Tell me to them myself here. I'm not people, I'm not medicinal. No, I don't know. Oh no. Wow. Super don't keep on detail. Super. I'm on in the race. I come and stay with us now. Now you see me now, I resemble you. I look at my man, and I look at Akuhmbom and I look at my mom. I don't know. I don't know. Where's my brother do? Where's my brother do? Even at 10 million of forgive. Even at 10 million.
Very, very disturbing day for the population of Boya today. Dr. Ngwanyam, a difficult pill to swallow.
Yes, it's a difficult pill to swallow. And that's why, it's very important for us to know how to live with others, to have this thing we call emotional intelligence. And we have said it time and again that when we go to school, you could have many certificates, but all those certificates amount only to 20 to 25% of our success. Mm-hmm. The real success in life, 70% to 75% of it, it depends on character. And if Cameroon is going through a lot of trouble today, it's because we don't have that emotional intelligence. We have no respect for each other. We have no respect for God. We have no respect for values, no respect for truth, and therefore everything goes. And this, this is not the first. This is not the last. We continue to see all these kind of things that will continue to shock us if we don't turn our ways back to the Lord. It's very unfortunate. We're a sinful nation, and we have to do something about it very quickly. We have all failed.
Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa. Very difficult to contain, accept, especially from the parents' perspective.
Yeah, it looks like a wound that was almost dry, and then suddenly something scratches the wound and then refreshes it again. Mm-hmm. We are 10 days to the 24th of October where we lost 7 children in a school in Kumba. Mm-hmm. This is October again, 14th, just barely 10 days to the 24th. Yet we lost another child on our way to school. And speaking as a father, because I stand here in different capacities, speaking as a father, I can understand the pain the parents of that little baby are going through. And it's so painful because it's happening in a time where the security situation in the country is very complex.
Yeah.
When we seem to see like things are trying to die down, it's like the embers of a burning wood are trying to faint away, and then somebody comes and pour fuel on it. I was so disturbed when I got up and then found that this thing was circulating on social media. I, first and foremost, as somebody who is spiritual, I reasoned it with my senses. I couldn't place my finger on actually why this thing happened, but I could only drift my mind over this thing to think that it's spiritual. Because I don't see how a law enforcement officer, as they say, for the sake of 500 francs, with all his professionalism and his skill as a trained professional, did not even reason to shoot the tires of the car, or better still, shoot the bullet in the air to threaten the driver, and then he focuses the bullet in a vehicle that is running. What was he thinking? That what he was holding in his hand was a toy, or what? So I have tried to reason the thing with my 5 senses, but I must be sincere. That officer must be an unfortunate person possessed by an evil spirit to cause the disorder we are experiencing today. Because to the best of my understanding, there are some days in life you just become unfortunate. I give you a reference from the scriptures. People keep saying that Judas Iscariot was wicked. Judas Iscariot was just an unfortunate person that the devil used to accomplish a divine purpose. Because whether we like it or not, Jesus Christ was to die. And needed a betrayer, somebody to betray him. So Judas was possessed by an evil spirit. Why didn't he possess Peter or James or John? He's rather an unfortunate person. So I will consider the military guy as the unfortunate person today. The enemy has used to accomplish a purpose. And this purpose is causing a lot of trouble and insecurity in the city of Buea today, and it's a very bad day for so many people. My prayer is that sometimes blood is spilled for a greater purpose. Let the blood of these people who have died today be used to appease this land so that peace can return. Because we cannot keep on burying people every day. We have buried so many people from 2017 to 2021.
Good evening to you, Albert Bibi, Agbotambe Ferino, good evening to you. Peter Brooks, Jenny, good evening to you. Mark Amos, Andy, Douala Business, my brother watching, I'm sure, from the United States. Good evening to all of you. This also, when we look at what actually happened, it calls to the consciences of those who are, especially uniformed officers, to be more responsible, especially when they have to do with drivers who are applying roads.
That is very right, Mr. So, I was looking at the situation and I asked the question, are these military people trained? Did they go through school? Did they teach them law? Yes, I'm sure they did that. Mm-hmm. And there is a code that they should follow. It is shocking how a person that is representing the nation who is supposed to protect that little child, who is putting on the colors of the nation, who happily trigger his weapon on a car that is carrying that kid, which according to their own laws, he should not have done that. And the question is, even if he considered that the driver was carrying something or maybe was running away, mm-hmm. Boya is made up of several checkpoints. Should he use a gun to solve it? That already tells us that that particular individual is having a mental problem. I want to believe that to an extent that young man is a criminal that got involved in, maybe he was looking for money, they just recruited him into the military, and without necessarily proning him, they just gave him a gun. What will you expect from such a person? He will use the gun against innocent people, like what just happened. It's unfortunate that we are talking now when he is not even alive, because he underwent mob justice, which is something that we also condemn as well. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Leo, I am a little bit surprised that we can have persons like that in the military. Mm-hmm. The Cameroon government needs to work to make sure individuals who are picked up to go protect the nation should be individuals who are intellectually capable and emotionally capable. We should not just pick any riffraff and throw him into the military, give him a uniform, because that will bring more problems. You do not expect that that particular driver should respect a policeman after this incident. I am shocked that we have this kind of person because of 500, as I heard. If that is the case, you should, because of 500. That is a problem. So we need to, I think the Cameroon government needs to make sure this issue, corruption within the military corps, is dealt with once and for all in order to stop also these mishaps. I've seen this thing happen in Bafoussam, where a military person was very fast in shooting a driver. We are talking today, this is not the first. So if situations like this had happened before, then we have to look into the military and the police.
Okay, good evening to you, Chi Akenji, Maximilian Max, and De Lum Ukeria, Mick Mill, good evening to you, Mbu Bate, Son State, good evening to you, Let a Lot Junior, Lakelma Yu, good evening to you, Mofo Emmanuel, Kinan Kilbert Kinan, Violet Song, Kudian Crossland, and Kume Esamba, my brother watching from South Africa, good evening to you, Pete, Dave Blonde, and all of you watching on Facebook. We are happy to know that you're watching. But should the government not do something with our gendarmes and police officers that are manning these roads?
Thank you. You asked a very great question there because I had that on my mind. I've had a lot of incidences with police control, gendarmerie control, and this called sécurité routière or what?
Road safety.
Road safety. And I've been asking myself lots of questions. Sometimes, in fact, that road safety thing and whatever you call it is just a money-making racket. It's not really. They are not really there for the sake of common good, nor for the reasons what you and I would expect they are there. They are there just looking for what you call motif in French, just to nail you. You see, the other day I was stopped, and it's happened several times to me. You are driving out of Bunamusadi, you take this road, they are there, they kind of like distributed themselves, they trap you like hunting dogs, and then they must milk into you. They always look for something. They try as hard as they can. Even when you just need to make a little mistake, even when you don't have something, they will beg, say you must give us something. And I think the government should just get those fellows off the road. Let people breathe. In fact, Cameroonians have it up to here. Let us get them off the road. Let people breathe. It looks like they are trained to do nothing but just harass people on the road. It's getting out of hand. And it's like if you don't give them the money, it's their right to take the money out of you. And if you don't give them the money, you are in big shit with them. Look, one gets the impression that the nation Cameroon is just melting away like a candle. It's going away. It's burning out. And if we don't do something, this nation will disintegrate. And we need just incidences like this, and it can spark a fire that you cannot take control of. We as a people, everybody needs to sit up. And to put it in a question format, I would like to ask all of you Cameroonians and everyone else listening to me, just name me one department or one ministry in Cameroon that is excellent in its work. One, just one. If we are looking for a little bit of sense of excellence, probably we could go to MTN or Orange and so on. You will realize that those are multinational companies. They are not even local companies. It shows that there is something seriously wrong with us. And like I was saying the other day when I was talking about issues in the medical corps, the medical corps has got its own problems, but it's very unfortunate that there's no way you can prop up the medical corps or you don't prop up everything else in the nation. So I think this is a wake-up call for us to prop up the nation. It's very important that we prop up the nation, and I'm hoping that all our elites are listening to us. The problems of Cameroon are caused by elites. It's very unfortunate. And we will need to change something and do something radically about that, especially elites that work as civil servants. You know, they tell lies, they cook up things and so on. And it's at the end of the day, all these problems that we are getting in the country are fruits of that lies telling, fruits of that manipulation. And we have all seen all those fights also going on in the CPDM with the renewal of their basic organs. So it's a problem. The problems of Cameroon are many. The Northerners are not happy. The Bamilekes are not happy. The Anglophones are not happy. Even in the center, south, and east, the commoner in those areas are not happy. There's a lot of tension between the rich and powerful and the poor. There's a lot of tension in the nation, and we seriously need to address that tension. If we don't do it, it's going to not be very nice for us. It looks like things are falling apart and the center cannot hold.
Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, do you have the impression that road users are friendly with the uniform guys? Is there that cordial relationship, or it is a master-servant relationship? And how do we reverse that?
Road users, talking as one of the road users.
Yes.
I drive every day in and out of the city of Douala. I must be sincere. The uniform officers are not friendly to road users. Just like the Tony said, the safety officers, they practically do not know why they are on the road. They don't have a sense of responsibility. They have a sense of machination and try to extract people to exploit people. That's what they have. And on the other side, gendarmes officers and police officers, to the best of my understanding, from the experiences I've had, they are not bothered about what you carry. They are bothered about what you give them. This guy must have been shot not because he carries something illegal, but because the interest of the gendarme was not met. If the car was parked, even if it was a human head that was in the boot, as long as they gave his 500 or his 1,000, the car can go. That tells you that it is a purely money-making issue. But in the actual sense, I don't think that's what they were trained in the military school to come do at the road. Their purpose was to make sure vehicles are intact. Their purpose was to make sure illegal things are not transported within and without the country. Their purpose also was to stand as safety agents where if an accident occurs, they should be the one to draw the constant or probably save the individuals in question. Those are the responsibilities of police people. But you see, accidents don't occur constantly because they are supposed to be intervening. But they are not intervening, they are placed there. Just like the firefighters. Firefighters are called when there is a need to intervene. A policeman should be called when there is a need to intervene. But they are not called. They are stationed there. The purpose of which they are stationed there is not met. Vehicles are still entering the city and the nations with illegal products. Bad vehicles that are not properly checked, that can cause accidents and the rest, they still enter the city. There is still overload everywhere, which is one of the reasons why if they are staying at the roadside, they're supposed to stop. Now, the primary objective of why they went to the roads is not there. Some of them don't even come out of their vehicles or the escort they sit on. You go park the car, come and pay it in the morning, and then you continue. Even if you are carrying what? I think there was a particular delegate of national security in this country, that should be Pierre Milomejo, who once stepped out of his high horse, took a common taxi, and then drove from Yaoundé right down to Southwest. And then saw what these police people were doing, and then after that period, they closed down all those controls on the road. I drove for about a month or two, and I did not see any control anywhere. And I was told that the delegate of national security said those guys were at the roadside there for their personal interest, but not for the interest of the people. I am sure it is greed. Let us remove the spiritual part, because the demons cannot take advantage of you if you don't have a weakness for them to capitalize upon. You must be greedy first before they will take advantage. So it is greed that has opened this opportunity for this man to kill this child today, what we are facing. So let's tell the police people and the gendarme officers, when they go to the road, they should render the services that the people need, because it is taxpayers' money that is used to pay them. Yet they collect another tax again privately at the roadside. They are milking dry the population. You stand at the roadside in your country, before you don't even have ID cards, they will suck you. You must pay a sum of 1,000. Yet they are not willing to give you the ID card in Yaoundé. In your own country, to have an ID card, you have to fast and pray. You are living as if you are an alien in your own father's land. You live like a stranger in your own father's land. They are the ones who do not sign the ID cards at the delegate of national security, and they are the ones who still hold you at the roadside and force you to give them 1,000 francs for every movement you make. How does the 1,000 francs secure you? The ID card serves a lot of purposes in your life. So when we see these things happening, I think the military or the uniform officers should be called to order, because actually they are milking the population dry and they are not rendering the services.
Okay, they're not rendering any services. We are going to take a listen to the Bishop of the Boya Diocese, who was with this population from start to the end. I just spoke with him, who told me that the child was buried short minutes ago out there in Boya.
And I think none of we here, no man will encourage me this kind of thing to happen. And you don't hear, as a worker, I don't hear the play the talk when I don't talk. especially about the control area around for market here. And I remember say the people that went in there, when they be in charge, they will take information from the big people then so that the control area then they open gun, then we'll be able to talk with them and take the people out so that we will not get this situation may happen for here. Yes. Yes. So what will don't happen, it don't happen. But now so we will find say that we begin and we got away the land die, made them carry and go for mortuary. Yeah. So that maybe all, even though it is painful we had, but maybe all we try to calm down because if person don't die, we get a duty for make them say, make that person too, his body is stay fine. So I'm a beg when I say, make when I leave with brother them, let them go try to carry the corpse to go keep and fine. I don't hear no. Okay, all right.
Let me then move that people there for years.
Yes, we need to carry them from
Let me move that people there for years. Move that people there for years.
Okay, that was the Bishop of Boya, but also this also raises the issue of back to school. I'm sure we all, you have campaigned for back to school, you have done so. When a child dies going to school, he actually, if you listen to what the guys at the governor's office were chanting, no school, no school, no school, it plays against what the government is trying to fix.
That's very true, Mr. Leo. You see, I went to Facebook and I wrote about this because we have been campaigning for schools to return.
Mm.
In the midst of it, the same people who have been appointed to protect those same children to go to school are the ones opening fire against the children. So in this case, what should we do? So it therefore implies that to an extent, the people whom we thought are out there to promote school returns back to school are the ones who don't want the schools to return. So a person in his right mind, because I'll still come back to this point, Mr. Leo, any person in his right mind will not do what that military man did. So I still have this perspective that he's either mentally deranged or there is something that is not well in their education. So we cannot be fighting that schools should go back. There should be open doors for students, for children to go back to school. Then people whom we expect to work for peace are the ones provoking another problem. It is really, really outrageous. And if you look at it, that child, if I want to give that child, it should be at least 4 years.
No, 4, 5 years.
That kid, how will you expect that the brother or the sister will accept to go to school? Then knowing that the sister was killed on the way to school. What would a mother who watched that happen today think? Other children think that their lives are not safe going to school. Most parents are already afraid because of this situation today. So the call for back to school is something that all of us we want. This child died because she thought she needed to go to school. A stupid, mentally deranged, because that's what I'll tell you, individual who was given a military uniform to put on, open fire on her. It is really, really unfortunate. But I pray that our parents should not use this situation as a means to give up about the education of their children. Because this is a situation that has happened.
Okay, it's a situation
I don't think this is the what is going to be happening every day.
Okay, let's move over to Nigeria, where Success Nkongho is on standby. Doctor, good evening and welcome, and your first take on what happened today in Boya.
I'm speaking with heavy heart. I think our uniform officials have learned the lesson that they, police officers and gendarmes, biggest reasons why, and they're one of the biggest reasons why not end. Because lack of professionalism. They don't handle things. They should. No. We pray that the soul of this young child rest in peace, and that all those who were involved in this act come to book. And I pray that the government will take appropriate measures. Measures to prevent such things from happening in the near future. And if I were in position of proposing, I would propose things that could be done to appease the heart of this family and the sympathizers and friends who are protesting in solidarity of this child that we have lost today. Thank you, Mr. Leon.
Yeah, but don't you think this is going to work against the campaign for back to school? And your take on the relationship between our gendarme and police officers with road users, especially drivers?
It's not going to affect back to school. It's just that it's going to pollute the minds of Cameroonians the more about police officers and gendarmes in Cameroon. I think the police authorities and the gendarme authorities in Cameroon should retrain their personnel. They should retrain them because if I want to say the truth as it is, most police officers lack wisdom. Most gendarme officers, they lack wisdom. They don't know how to resolve a minor issue. So these people need to be retrained. But this incident, I don't think is going to affect back to school. It was not a fight against school. Even though some people, I read it in a communique that it was the fault of the driver who was trying to escape. The policeman or the gendarme officer does not have the right to shoot at the car. He doesn't have some. I mean, if he has to shoot at the car, he will shoot what he's seeing. He should not be shooting anyhow.
You have issues with your sound.
Yeah, some people are struggling to call me from everywhere, so that's why.
Yeah, but my last question to you before I get back to you will have to do with you said earlier on that seemingly there are persons who would not want to see this conflict end, who would want to engineer and use any method to keep it forward.
Leo, this is not news. The only government official in Cameroon who does not want this crisis, who wants this crisis to end, is called President Boya. That's the only person in place of authority who wants this crisis to end. Quote me anywhere, anytime. My name is Nkongho. The only government in the Republic of Cameroon who wants this crisis to end is President Boya. Leo, the rest don't want it to end. Am I saying they want ambassador to have independence? No. Many of them are feeding fat from this crisis, are gaining opportunities from this crisis, are increasing their political ranks on this crisis. So how do you expect them to end? They pretend as if they want the crisis to end, but on the back, they are fueling the crisis, escalating the crisis, sponsoring the crisis, and proposing policies that will never end this crisis. How can a well-educated government official be proposing military option in a crisis like this? How can they do that? A secondary school child can resolve this crisis if that child has powers in his hands. We don't need guns. The other day, the Prime Minister was in Boya speaking about peace. His Minister of Defense was in Bamenda promising death. How do you reconcile that? Speaking to the hearts and conscience of these people is the cure. Guns and bullets will never resolve this crisis. And those who are proposing that we should use bullets, they are deceiving people that they are patriots. They are not patriots. They are the reason why this crisis is still on up to today. They are the reason why we are still where we are. 3-4 months ago, they were jubilating that there's no more Amazonia anywhere. 4 months later, they are seeing how military people and policemen are being killed all over by no pity and others. We should stop deceiving ourselves. And by the way, where are these people getting all these weapons? Where do they get all these sophisticated weapons? How do they transport these weapons to where they are? Does it mean our security officials are no longer vigilant or they're not professionals? Okay? The only person in Cameroon, in place of authority, who wants this crisis to end is called President Paul Biya. Every other person is pretending. Let me go to jail for saying so. I have said it. Thank you.
Now, when we look at what has happened today, relatively, Boya has been calm. Yes. Fako has been calm. Yes. And to get this tension ignited, does it also tell you that there are some persons who are not happy with the situation, the atmosphere that is prevailing within Fako?
It's just unfortunate, and like I earlier said, before I even get lost, I just want to be thankful to DrSuccess Nkongho for speaking up his mind, for telling people the truth, because that's the truth. If we run away from the truth, we'll never get out of this mess. And to say that people are actually looking for ways and means of getting this thing going on and on and on. And a moment ago when I had the microphone, I said the elites, people in government, civil servants of all categories and colors, they are causing the problem. And, you know, we might be blaming the military man who shot at the girl, but you know that the word is very powerful. It is with the word that God created the world, and is with the word that we can ruin the world. And we have people in authority who use that word to kill the nation, who use their power to kill the nation. And when you use the word, and that word is not a word of truth, it imprisons the nation. And what we are seeing today, they are effects of a failed major national dialogue. What I'm saying is, the major national dialogue was set up to solve the Anglophone problem. But when we went to that dialogue, our elites, our leaders, many of us who had the power and the authority to solve the problem, deceived the president. The president gave a lot of money, the nation gave a lot of money, they deceived the president, deceived the people. And now, 2 years afterwards, they are running around trying to evaluate things that, how can you evaluate something that was wrong? It will only be a wrong answer. And trying to make a faulty thing right. So all these things, all these killings, all the violence and all whatnot, they are all fruits of a scam. That is why we must do the right thing to correct it, otherwise we'll keep sliding down into the abyss. It is time to stop loss, and the time is now. And this current government does not have the moral capacity, the wisdom, and what it takes to stop it, because their consciences, their minds, and everything are all corrupt.
Okay, their minds are all corrupt. We're going to take a listen at what the governor of the Southwest region told the angry mob that came to his office today.
Would have been your child, my child. That is it. An innocent child. He was going to school. I'm fighting here for children to go to school. Yes. So all of us were in a shock. I want to assure you that those who did it, some are already under arrest. Are you listening to me? Yes. Because this child, it would have been your child, my child, an innocent child. He was going to school. I'm fighting here for children to go to school. And how is it that a child on his way to school is killed? So it is a shock. Yes. Rest assured that I, Governor, you know me. You know that I'm not a conniman. Yes. Those who did it, no matter they are great, they will pay. Yes. Justice. They will pay. Are you listening to me? Yes. Okay. Yes. But I want us to carry the corpse of our innocent child to the mortuary. We must mourn her in peace. You were saying that peace. Yes. Let us be in peace, no matter how painful the situation is. It is an atrocity, but let us not give room to people who would like to add to this atrocity. Yes. Are you getting me well? Yes, sir. Please, let us now accompany the remaining mothers of our daughter to the mortuary. I'm with you. Exactly. Yes, sir. We need, Mr. Governor, we also want the military out of the city. We want them out because they frighten us with this thing. They frighten us with their guns.
Yeah, we see a governor who is shocked, who actually did not mince words to describe what has happened as an atrocity.
Mr. Leo, the greatest war on earth is fought with words, not with weapons. The greatest war on earth is fought with words. If at all these governors from the north and the southwest started speaking like this earlier 2016, long ago, we will not find ourselves where we are. For the very first time, I saw Governor Kalabila spoke from his heart, not his mouth. He spoke from his heart, not his head. He actually entered into the shoe of the parents of that child and then considered as if it was his own child that died, and then spoke in the capacity of a father, not in the capacity of a governor. Because until you take the shoe of a father or a mother in this case, you will not feel the shock and the pain of what happened in Buea. I'm sure he removed his gubernatorial cap, kept it on the ground, and then came as a father. Because if you heard his words selectively, he said, it could be your child, it could be my child. He wasn't speaking as a civil administrator, he was speaking as a father. And you realize that the level of tension in the atmosphere started dying down immediately he spoke like that. I have said it and I'm still repeating it. Great speeches have turned violent situations to very calm situations. And if at all of us as Cameroonians could control our tongue, I'm talking as a clergy, the book of James says the tongue is a very small member of the body, but it can ignite an entire forest with fire. If at all we're managing our tongues from the very beginning, we will not find ourselves where we are today. I am glad that lessons and the circumstances we've been through are beginning to mend our civil authorities. They are beginning to come to a place to understand that sometimes you cannot have it your own way. Sometimes it is good to step down from your high horse and come to the very position of the people who are right down there. And I must applaud Governor Okala for the way he addressed the crowd today, and the fact that he said, let us go and bury. A leader does not send people ahead and stay behind. He goes along with them. Let us go and bury our little child. And he said the law will take its full course on all those who perpetrated the act. I am sure even if the law is not taken tomorrow behind bars, but that presentation publicly has convinced the people that truly the governor also feels what they are feeling. The governor is wearing their shoes to understand the pains they are going through. In Rwanda, the civil war broke out because of a radio commentary. It was words that took almost 1 million lives in Rwanda. And I can tell you what has fueled the Anglophone crisis till date is words. The choices of words we use on media to communicate, both from the side of the non-state armed groups as well as the government, has contributed to where we are today. I think that if we are able to convince the minds of the people, we have fought a greater battle than using the barrel of a gun.
Okay, I'll take a few messages. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I greet the panelists on board. What happened today in Boya was a show of failed system of government. It shows that the so-called gendarmes men are here only for money. Molombe Hans, writing from Boya. This one says, Idrisu Abdul says it's time to take our destinies into our own hands. Okay. Sumbele Kelvin, writing from Kong Samba, says, good evening to you, Mr. Liu, and your panelists. Is very sad day to all Anglophones, especially to us, the Bakosi tribe, for the loss of our daughter. This is to show the world that our security forces of law and order are causing disorder instead. We pray that this shouldn't spark fire in Boya that was already calm. Let the government ban collection of money on the way from civilians by forces of law and order. Okay. Lista Montana, writing from Yaoundé, says, good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Mr. Liu, the last thing Cameroon needs now is for such incident to occur. The government needs to cut down on the excesses of the uniform officers. First, it was Ngabu, Kumba, and now Boya. Lista Montana from Yaoundé. Prince Ndikum, writing from Sweden, says, if I talk now, some people will say we are bringing disorder, or we want to separate the country, or we are killing our own. Okay. Good evening, Sumbele. No, Prince Nzikum from Sweden. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The police send them officers are not good to the population. You need to see how those people treat the population. No love. It seems as if when they leave Yaoundé coming here, the mission here is to destroy the people. Okay. Good evening to you. Papa Peter, writing from Limbe, says, good evening. Kuala Bilek called us. Okay. I don't know what you're trying to say. Okay. Okay, yes, but Apostle Ambe said the governor spoke so well today. Lots and lots of concerns being raised and worries raised about the attitude of our men in uniform.
Mr. Leo, the Minister of Territorial Administration stood and said Cameroonians should learn to respect the men in uniform. Some of us, we sat on this same platform. I think I was here with Dr. Nick that day. And we made mention of the fact that these individuals do not even respect themselves. It is unfortunate that we are talking in the midst of a loss. But the Cameroon military, let me go down to the police force and the gendarme. Because the military, they are meant to be in the barracks and live from there to the battlefield. They can act as wild as they need to, but a police and a gendarme are supposed to be out to maintain peace and order in the community. But they are the highest disorderly persons that I know. Either you find them in bars, drinking with a uniform on their bodies, you see them with guns on them, or you see them fighting on the streets. Like, I don't understand. So it is unfortunate, I will still repeat it, that I am talking like this when we lost a kid. And unfortunately, also the gendarme who did the act. But I think it is necessary that this particular set of individuals whom the government had actually selected and given weapons to should be re-educated. The police school and the gendarme schools should be a place where these guys should not only be given guns, but they should be transformed. I think psychologically they should be reformed as well. They should be trained to respect civilians, because they are out to take care of the civilians, not to molest them. The moment you give a uniform to most of these guys, they think that they have become I don't know, they have become, in fact, more than the law. They have become more than the law. They use the barrel of the gun to threaten innocent civilians out there every day. That is what they do. You see, if you go out and sample the opinion of 1,000 Cameroonians about the behavior of military people, I want to be sincere that you will not have up to 1% that will speak good of the military, of the gendarme and the police. Why? Because these guys have disgraced the uniform. They have actually disgraced the uniform. You see, I spoke here concerning them drinking in bars. It is not just that.
Some of them.
Yes. It has become just normal that we can use one person now to generalize the whole issue, because when you see, it is not like you see 1, 2, 3 persons. Most at times you see them in their numbers. So it is unethical in the first place for a gendarme or a police to be found in a bar with a bottle of beer in uniform. It is wrong. I think it's against their own laws. It's against the deontology of the military force. And so I think that the Cameroon government, and to be particular, the delegate of national security, should point this thing. Those who the general who is in concern with the gendarme should look into these things. They should be trained to take care of the community, not to be against the community. I'm sure that if these people rise against them, they will not be able to stand.
Okay, let's go back to have a feel of how things actually look like today in Boya, because the population gathered in Moliko moved up to the governor's office and then went through the streets of Boya. We went down to Mile 16, Mile 17, Muya, before coming back towards the Miss Sports Stadium out there in Boya.
I'm not a people, I'm a journalist. I don't present myself here. I'm not people, I'm not medicinal.
Dr. Nicky, little baby is killed in Boya. There is a mobilization by the population. Was it a powerful message enough to the administration that enough is enough?
Yeah, that's the message. Enough is enough. And I like to say here that in the next Cameroon, we will not have these gendarmes and police over there again. It will be different. I can assure you. It's enough is enough. And the administrators and all that, they will all be elected, not appointed. Because that is what has driven the country to the edge. This excessive arrogance, you know, Apostle Ambe and Professor Mark here, they were saying it's this lack of respect for the citizen, lack of respect for people. You know, just because you have a gun and a uniform and some badges on you think you are above the law, you are God, you are I don't know what. I think today, I hope you understand English. Enough is enough. I said enough is enough. It's over. Over in the sense that, please, respect other human beings. Respect life. Respect other human beings and respect life. I'm sure the guy who was shooting, he didn't even know that he was going to die. He thought he was above. You know, when people have had it up to here, when they've got it up to here, there's very little you can do about it. And you see, like when Apostle Ambe was speaking, no, it was not even DrSuccess, was saying one person who would have loved this thing to stop now is His Excellency President Paul Biya. I think he's right. But also the people are expecting that the president should do something about it so that the whole thing stops. Wanting for it to stop is one thing, but doing something so that it stops is another thing. And this is about time, and this rubbish should stop now. It should actually stop now. And a lot of people would pay the price in one way or the other. When we are going out there to solve problems, let us truly solve problems. But when we package them for political reasons and so on, it doesn't always turn out to be very good. You know, we are all on social media, and the other day I was asking a very pertinent question to which no one answered. You know, when the Prime Minister was in the Northwest region, while in Santa, there was an incident there, but you had sets of journalists reporting different things, and we were seeing something else. And so where was the truth? And we also noticed that 13 young men dropped their guns, and I guess they're at the DDR center. But I asked the question, if we go down to the DDR center and we don't find all the 13 there, you know, in the books, and we can't identify them, the question is, who should go to prison for that, and what would have been the crime committed, and who else would go to the witness box as an accomplice or a witness to that kind of a crime? I'm not saying it's a crime, but all I'm getting at is, let us try as best as we can to think the right thing and do the right things. Because when we see the Prime Minister going up to the Northwest to go and bargain for peace, and he carries people from Yaoundé who go there and stand and talk on behalf of the people back, they would have just said the things to themselves in Yaoundé and stayed there. You know, it is this kind of behavior that is pushing people to the wall. We have a problem to solve, and I'm telling you, the time has come now, and the problem needs to be solved, whether we like it or not.
DrSuccess and Nkongho, is this baby also, it is true that the incidents may not be directly linked to what is happening as far as the crisis is concerned, but isn't it also because the crisis has been dragging on for so long? If we had no crisis, this child would not have died today.
Yes, if there was no crisis, this child could not have died today because of the crisis situation. You know, a lot of people are actually hiding behind this crisis to do different things. A certain man of God had a vision where he saw Lucifer crying every day And in the vision, they asked Lucifer, why are you crying all the time? And Lucifer said, is it not disbelievers? The things I do, they will accuse me that I did it. The ones they did by themselves, they will still accuse me. Okay? This Ambazonia of a thing is a pretext. A lot of politicians, a lot of thieves, a lot of armed robbers, a lot of selfish people have infiltrated this thing and are carrying out a lot of atrocities. And we are attributing all to Ambazonia. That is why I came out with some terminologies like Yaoundezonians and Anglozonians. This set of people are worst. They are worse than Ambazonia, because if it's all about Ambazonia, it's not a difficult task to put an end to Ambazonia. But because Yaoundezonians and Anglozonians, they are behind the creation of Ambazonia and they feed from it. So Ambazonia becomes a mystery. There is an enemy with every day. We can easily defeat that one. What about the one you don't know and you can't see? That is the worst enemy. And that is why we are where we are today. The Yaoundezonians and the Anglozonians. They are worst. Also, we should understand, Leo, that when the lawyers went to the streets to protest in 2016, they did not carry any weapon. The way they were handled by the police in Monya, what I saw, I'm not talking about what they told me, what I saw. In fact, that act alone pushed a lot of people to the wall. That act alone. And the police and the gendarmes have not still learned a lesson, that they are the reason why a lot of boys have been radicalized because of their brutality and excesses. And they still continue that up till today. This has to stop in our country if we must have lasting peace. Value.
Okay. Apostle Ambe, Valentine, I want you to react to the mobilization we saw, that people gathered immediately. They got that information that this girl was killed. People moved from all the quarters in Boya, merged around checkpoint. They all walked up to the governor's residence. You saw the bishop had to plead with them to hand this baby over for the child to be buried.
It's the angry mob. The issue is the incident was so touching. If at all you were in that vicinity and you did not react, then probably you have the heart of stone. I'm telling you the truth. Any ordinary person who has a conscience that is alive, seeing such a gruesome mother of a little baby of 4 or 5 years old, I think if your conscience is not dead, you will be left with nothing than to react. Secondly, most of those people are parents, because it wasn't babies that were running the streets. Every father, mother, grandfather, grandmother must definitely move into the street, because something has touched one person that touches almost everybody. The pain is not even the fact that the child died. It's the age of the child and how innocent that child is. I mean, it's very, very painful. So there was no choice of to react. Can you imagine that the people suddenly fell on the gendarme and then beat him to death? It's to tell you the level of anger they had. They had so much anger that they had to react immediately, and then they had to maintain jungle justice, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So it's just so that funny. That is how bad the situation was, which if I were to be there in Boya, I couldn't hold my peace, because it's a very touching situation. Those of us who are watching through social media, who are watching through television, fit yourself in the shoe of that parent who woke up this nice Thursday morning, prepared the child knowing that, okay, baby is going to school, and then the child never came back. It's so painful. It's so painful that every ordinary human being who has a living conscience would definitely react to that.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for your program. This is another sad opportunity to end this conflict. I think we can use this shot to stay on the street with our peace plans until this long-awaited second dialogue is called for. Please, okay. It has happened. We all saw what happened when the kids died in Kumba. Some mothers mobilized. They came out in Kumba, I'm sure Boya and Bamenda. It has happened in Boya. And what should happen? Because people want an end to. How do we ensure, like you said, it was should be considered a sacrifice that should end. But how do we make sure that happens? The men of God should call for a fast?
No, mothers can put an end to this crisis.
Okay.
Women in this nation, listen to me. You are our mothers. You have the capacity to put an end to this crisis. I'm telling you, if all the women, you know, the issue is there's a lot of divide as far as the crisis is concerned. If all the women of the north, far north, and Adamawa, center, littoral, northwest, southwest, east and south gather in their hundreds and thousands and block all the entry points into those regions, that they will not eat, they will not sleep, they will not bathe, and they will not put on their dresses until this nonsense comes to an end. I don't care how hard-hearted the administration may be, they will be left with no choice. We have seen mothers put an end to crisis in many situations across the nations of the world. Cameroon women should not be an exemption. There is a cry that comes from a woman's heart that you cannot resist. Take, for instance, as a married man in the house, there is a cry your wife will cry, and you'll be left with no choice than to break all protocols and see how to make her stop. Mothers of the nations, we are calling upon you. Across the 10 regions of this country, you can put an end. Stop carrying peace plans and crying. Mothers wept in Kumba when 7 children died. Women are still weeping today on social media. I even saw some ladies through some videos who were on a show were weeping and weeping. That weeping is not sufficient. Some steps must be taken that can cause this government and the separatists to understand that we will stand in between the both of them are the ones who are caught in the crossfire. Mothers of the nation, I'm telling you all sincerity, you can rise up to put an end to this rubbish.
Okay. Now, Prof. Makantuni, what should follow this sad event in Boya that should cause people to have a rethink?
Mr. Leo, you know, I've been reflecting on what DrSuccess said concerning how this problem started, where in Monia that day, the police molested lawyers who came out to walk on the street. And this incident of this kid just come to tell us that it seems as if the training which is being given to our so-called police and gendarme officers is to actually molest the community. They are supposed to be individuals trained to protect us. I am going to be talking back to the government to rethink and reinvent the curriculum in which they use in training these individuals.
Yes, but before training, we need the crisis needs to stop.
Mr. Liu, it is just obvious that we cannot be talking again every day about the stuff because we had already said it here. What Apostle Ambe said here, I said it here once, that if women step out on the street and don't return home, this thing will end. We will not be talking about it. There was a time, the Kumba incident, where people spoke from this area. Some women went out, marched in Douala, some went march out. I said that is not what we need. As they start going out, let them not go back home. If that is what they do, this thing will end. Because I'll be sincere, Mr. Leo, in Liberia, women stopped a crisis that lasted for years. Women went out and it ended. I am sure in Cameroon will not be different. If women decide to take it on them, it will end.
Okay.
So let us not be talking as if it's a new thing. We will say this every day, but you know what?
Dr. Nick, this is a baby who is killed, going to school. Yeah. We've heard virtually nothing from the Primary school. There's a Ministry of Basic Education. No statement from them.
Yes.
Women and the family.
Yes.
No statement from them. Social affairs. No statement from them. It's only the Ministry of Defense that is directly involved. But should these persons not show concern to some extent? Are they so helpless? Are they waiting for instructions from the President of the Republic to even pen down condolence message to the bereaved family?
You see, it's very unfortunate. If you watched again the video from Bamenda, you remember there was the Assistant Minister of Basic Education, on Madame Kilo, and you know, they blew a lot of hot air, but something is happening like this, and they are quiet. And even on social media today, you know, of course, I'm from the CPD, but you would have noticed there are some friends of ours. We are always punching ourselves. Many of them just went dead silent today. And it tells you that even when people, they know what is right, but always do the wrong things for personal gains. This, we are coming to the end of the road. We are coming to the end of the road. And I'm saying that things are not going to be the same again. Like DrSuccess was saying, President Paul Biya is one person who will want this thing stopped, and he's going to stop it. Yeah, the women, even if the women come out, it will still be President Paul Biya who will trigger that stop. And I think the time is coming for that trigger to be pressed, and things will have to stop. And what I can say to all Cameroonians is that there will be a dialogue. I've been trying to look for a name of that dialogue so that it doesn't sound like major national dialogue. It has to sound differently. So when you say dialogue, people know what you are talking about. And we coined something called GDU-PP. It will be a genuine dialogue of national unity for peace and progress. That will be the motto. And it will be genuine. It will be a dialogue. And it will bring the peace, and it will bring the progress and the unity. And whatever you call it, there will be West Cameroon and there will be East Cameroon, and there will be decentralization within those states. Governors and SDOs will be elected, not voted. There will be no gendarmes and police in West Cameroon. Those in East Cameroon will be retrained, like Professor Mark was saying, because we cannot continue like this. Enough is enough. This rubbish is going to stop, and the blood of this child has not gone for nothing. And I'm telling you, it is this child that has put the final nail on the coffin, and it will happen, and it must happen. And I'm telling all those professors who go on TV and are professing lies, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Thank you.
Yes, but it has happened. We are talking about ministries that have not come up. Are you also surprised that at least the Ministry of Social Women Affairs and the family, because they are directly concerned, a young girl, 4 or 5 years, yes, killed, and nothing from that ministry. Some elites also. We saw the bishop with the people throughout the day. The governor himself said, let us go, I'm with you. We would have expected by now to have heard from some elites, concerned elites of the southwest and northwest regions and some quarters. We are not getting anything. Even some organizations.
Let me begin with the Minister of Basic Education. Mm-hmm. Maybe they are still gathering facts.
Okay.
Maybe they are still gathering, because sometimes when we are in a haste to give out information, we make a lot of mistakes. They are still gathering facts so that when they come to speak, they wouldn't make mistakes as other times that the military has done. You got the military, the communication officer of the military, how he put it in his own way. Sometimes people are quiet, not because they don't want to speak, because they are fed up. I want to believe at the level where Cameroon is right now, if people stop speaking, it's not because some of us have decided to speak till we see a change. To be sincere, we have spoken until we are tired. We have spoken until we are confused. As a matter of fact, sometimes you will come here and keep repeating the facts that you have once mentioned in the past, because we have a dead, complete, stone-hearted regime. A system that does not listen to the counsel and the wisdom of his people. God has given us as treasures to this nation to help push this nation with the ideas he puts in our minds. But sometimes you come with all your energy and dispense information thinking that they will draw some wisdom from it and advance the cause of the country. But it's rather unfortunate that they already have their fixed ways of handling things, that your ideas make no meaning. So to me, I want to believe that if all the other departments, civil societies, elites, and even the Minister of Basic Education is somehow silent, it connotes the fact that a lot of them are frustrated, disappointed, and they are tired of speaking. And if not because a group of concerned Cameroonians still have the urge and the guts to come on television and speak, considering for how long we have been speaking and providing solutions that are never adhered to, it is but obvious that we're supposed to have back out of TV screens and stop wasting our time to be speaking to people who have stone hearts, cold feet, and they are very, very determined to obey only what suits their desires. So I want to believe, and I want to actually accept in my heart that people are disappointed, they are frustrated, they are tired. That's why they are not speaking. Because it is so funny today that when things occur, you will see common masses who communicate on Facebook, on Instagram, and then you see the persons who you expect them to stand up and speak, they are silent. Why are they silent? Sometimes they are frustrated too. They are disappointed, and they must have spoken in the early days, and then nothing was done. If you keep pouring water, it looks like it's pouring on the desk back, it does not stand. You'll be wasting your time. It's because we are Cameroonians that we say, okay, psychologically speaking, it takes at least 6 times for information to stay in someone's mind. That's why we keep on saying it over and over. But if not, following what is happening in this country, I don't think some of us will come to sit on television again and still speak. People are disappointed, they are frustrated, they are bitter, and they are silent.
Is that why the MPs will not say anything, the senators will not say anything?
What have they said in the past? That's not how they will speak.
Yes, but at least is this case not peculiar, this young child?
The 7 children who died in Kumba are more peculiar than this single child. And people cried more than this child. It's very certain. Do the parliamentarians and the senators even have a voice to speak before they will speak? Who gave them a voice? They are merely microphones, an extension of a speaker. They are microphones. they are just extension of what they are being told. So what do you expect them to say? They don't have anything to say. What have they said in the initial stage? Somebody came last time and said here that CDC is going down, nobody is saying anything. Human beings are dying, they did not speak. Is it when plantains are dying, they found rubber, that they will speak? Let us stop beating around the bush. I think people are tired and they are frustrated. We have come to a place whereby if not fluff for the nation and our concern and trying to bring out solutions, most of us will not be on television anymore against speaking, because sometimes we appear as fools because we keep on pouring ideas and no value is placed on it.
But specifically, what should you want women to do something, and you believe that they can do something, what should they do?
Women, I expect, like I said earlier, not women in a particular region, because they will be squashed. They can be blotted out. We want the 10 regions, the mothers of this nation. A nation is born by a woman. The mothers of this nation should stand to their feet and make sure that this crisis comes to an end. If those from the far north, the north, Adamawa, and all the 10 regions of the country come out and sit in the street like what happened in the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, a group of 3,000 persons came and sat in the street. Others were only going there to come and give them tea and bread to eat, and they said they will not go out until there is a change. And the mayor of the city consulted authorities, and they came down. The whole city was shut down, and the people. A government can never be stronger than the people. That's just the truth. If these women come out and sit and block the entry of all these nations and all these regions, I am telling you, the entrance to Douala here is Mungu. The entrance to Omiaonde to Douala here is Dibamba. Let them block there and block here. And sit there and say they will not eat, they will not do anything, they will stay there. There's a chelemi say the government will not do something. It's funny. They can take this thing take the bull by the horn and change this thing. It's possible. The problem we are calling women, don't call women are not afraid, is because women are more populated in every society. The world population is 7.2 billion. Women are 5 billion. So if you come to Cameroon, Cameroon is 26 million. You will have at least 20 million women. Eh? Yes, or 17 million.
Okay.
So if they come, they can do something with their number. Numbers count. Numbers count.
We hope that the mothers are getting you, Apostle, Ambe, Valentine, and Ngwa. Now, Prof, are you also very surprised that we've not heard from our MPs, our senators? We have organizations that have been speaking on this crisis now, and today we were expecting to see them move with the population out there in Boya, we did not see them. Is it that they are tired, like Apostle is saying? But before that, good evening to you, Jerry Mba Kungs, and to you, Nane Signora Enanga. Good evening to you, Anga Kayude, Gerard Nde. Good evening to you, Eunice Williams, and to you, my friend Tega Ajam. Watching, they call him Kaka, watching from South Africa. Not forgetting you, Fagu, watching us from Boya. Good evening to you, Mr. Nje Kale. Samuel, who is watching us also from watching us from Boya. And not forgetting you, Eteki Stella, who should be watching us also from Boya. It's night. We've not heard from most of our representatives.
I will not want to think
they're afraid.
They're afraid or whatsoever. I want to think they are taking their time, and certainly they will surely react.
They're investigating.
Like you said. You know, it is good to want to say something, you say it out of certainty. But I think the talking has been done for a long period of time. We have been talking, and we are shocked that this situation still keeps on, which implies that there are individuals with bad faith out there who don't care what people say. They just want the whole thing to continue. And that there's a reason behind, because they are surely feeding fat from it. And so even after the talking, it doesn't change. When it comes to, for example, you spoke about our parliamentarians and all that, you know very well they hardly speak on issues like this, because they do not know what to say exactly. I'm sure after the minister, either Minister of Territorial Administration or Communication, would have said something, then some of them will have something to say, because most of them speak like echoes. They are actually echo of what comes from the government. But we will call on every goodwill Cameroonian to not close their mouth. Let them talk. But like, I'll repeat this. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that when you respond to an individual harshly, you provoke more anger. But when you speak fitting words, you appease anger. We saw the governor react. He spoke so wise today. That was the first of its kind that I noticed, coming from an administrator, because most of the times when they want to speak, they don't speak like people who live in the community. They don't speak like this kind of thing can happen to them. But I heard him today speaking, and I think he spoke for many persons. If maybe an organization wanted to hear the government talk and they heard the governor speaking like that, they will say, no, this thing was rightly handled. He spoke well, his words were fitting, and sincerely, it did what was supposed to be done. If not, today would have been very dangerous in Boya.
Okay.
Mr. Leo, that same Boya, there was a time when these boys came out to work like that. They received the military. And once the military comes, they don't come to fix things. Whether as a police, if the police, because to an extent the governor might want to say, you people should go back, I'm going to solve it, and as they are going to release the police, that you people should calm the crowd. You don't send the police or the gendarme to calm down the crowd. He did it well. The moment they go out, they create more problems. So I remember a situation that happened in a corner in 2017 when the DOK man tried to talk to the people and said, okay, we are going to calm this thing. People should calm down. The people said, thank you, because you spoke well to us. The moment he left, they told the police to accompany the people to, they started shooting tear gas and the thing then. And you remember that day? They blocked the boys, those Ekona boys blocked the road the whole day. And just imagine the same, if the governor did that, it would have become dangerous to them, Boya. So we appreciate him for the wise management of this particular issue today. He did so well. And we pray that maybe from today, it should be like that. Because if situations were handled at that level, things would not have been here.
Okay, we are going to use this last 30 minutes to discuss about on our second topic for tonight. We are going to continue in next week asking the question whether conflict resolution experts are not existing in Cameroon. Do we say that our graduates from INAM know everything? After the short break. Welcome back. You're watching Prime on my Media Prime. We are going to be looking at the Anglophone crisis and asking ourselves why conflict resolution experts have not been used. We've not heard so much from them. It's either appointed officials that are making one or two declarations. It is either our administrative officers that are doing all the work. Where are conflict resolution experts? We know that people have gone to school, they are trained on issues of conflicts. There are others who are experts who are doing a lot of work out of the country. Why are they not made use of in Cameroon? We are into a crisis for above 4 years now. Where are they? Dr. Nick, yes. What's happening? There are people who have gone to school in and out of Cameroon on issues of conflict. There are Cameroonians who have gone out of this country to solve issues. Why are they not made use of in Cameroon?
Thank you very much. Before we even get lost into that, let's say that a conflict is an argument or a disagreement that is serious and lasts for a reasonable length of time. We always have little arguments here, and that's not what we're talking about here. The conflict we're referring to here, it's duration, magnitude, and doesn't seem to be having an end. So the question is, why aren't we doing something about it? Why aren't we getting specialists who should come and look at that? And for starters, I know two specialists in Cameroon. I'm sure we all know them. There is Professor Willy Brot Ngwa, and then Professor So Christopher. There might be others, but I know these two. I mean, they are good at their jobs. I mean, there are some others who have just gotten it like you and I, just by reading and trying to know how to solve it. But these are people who have spent their lives studying it, have PhDs and are professors, and are learning, and they know the process of stopping a conflict, how to manage a conflict, stop it, correct the issues, and then see how you repair the damage. But again, because of politics and because of the way our country is set up, where we think that it's administrators who do everything from morning till evening, administrators were trained, to maintain, I think that thing is called law and order, and it's just law and order from morning to evening. All they see is they're going around with a hammer, and everything they see is a nail. So that you cannot solve a real conflict with that. And then you have a lot of these other professors just looking for opportunities, appointments, and so on. You know, then you have some party hawks who think that the best way to rise is to blackmail other people or keep praising the president. That's not it. We have real problems, and those problems need to be addressed. And you and I might know one or two ways of doing it. We do that in our families and so on. But we have specialists who are surgeons in the matter, and if we use them, a journey that would have taken us 1,000 years, we'll do it in a couple of days, because they follow the process, they follow the standard operating procedures of how it is done the world over. It's not this thing of coming to cook up something and try to imagine it and think that it will work. We are where we are today because we try to manage conflict our own way, thinking it's going to work. It doesn't go like that. You know, there's only one way of baking. I mean, if you want to bake a cake, there is what do you call that, this thing, a recipe for baking the cake. I remember one of my aunties, she tried to bake a cake for a white man who came from abroad, and she ended up she prepared a rich bread and thought it was a cake. So she gives it to this white man, said, the white man asked, what is this? She says, it's a cake. He says, is it African cake? You know, so that is so that's exactly what we do. There is a way of doing things, and you cannot beat around the bush. You can modify it, but if you put a lie and try to make it work, it will not work. So from now going forward, the specialists are going to come to the forefront, and this crisis is going to be solved. And watch my lips, all these elites will be sent to the background, and those who were part of the crimes will be locked up.
Okay, let's take a listen to Vice Agbo Bala, who is also going to opine on this topic.
We have one of the most highly intelligent and resourceful persons in this continent. We have lots of historians, we have lots of negotiation experts, we have lots of conflict analysis experts, but unfortunately, we only live in a country where the experts that the government considers are only experts who belong to a particular political party or who sing the song that the ruling party or the state wants to list it. So at the end of the day, it becomes difficult because they like people who would deceive them. We don't use the other experts that can be helpful. I think from the beginning of this conflict, if we had used experts, and I think till date, if we really have experts that if we use the experts that we have, it might go a long way in advising government objectively and logically on what they are supposed to do. And this is not only in the area of conflict prevention or resolution or negotiation or nation of this country. It touches across almost all sectors of the country, where you have seasoned professionals and experts, but because of their political affiliation, they are never considered, their opinion is never sorted out. We are at a very critical stage in the life of this country, and it's important, it's incumbent on the government to try as much as possible to get all the necessary experts on the table, to listen to them. Get even experts that they don't like or that don't buy their political philosophy. It's incumbent on them to talk to them, because if we don't do that, then we're not really trying to find a solution. If we do that, then they might advise government, and the problem is not only advising government also, it's whether the government is listening. Because if you have a government that is deaf, dumb and mute and adamant, you know, to the wishes and aspirations of the people, then no matter what kind of experts you bring, they might not be able to listen to them. So we need the government to be people-centric. We need a government that will listen to the people, and when they listen to the people, they will try to put in holistic measures in place that might contribute in calming down the tension.
Thank you, Mr. Nkongho Agbobala, the CEO of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy, West Africa. We are going to be talking about this. Are you also shocked? Is it that the government does not know, or yes, are they not aware of the fact that in times of crisis they should hire the services of experts to help solve the problem?
I'm sure I gave a glimpse of what Barrister Nkongho just said yesterday when we introduced this topic. That not that we lack conflict resolution experts in Cameroon, but because the government does not place value on what they have. A clear example is, without any publicity, Tumfo Barrister Nkongho, he has records of different crises that he has intervened in the world and lasting solutions have come. A clear example is a case of Morgan Vangirai and Robert Gabriel Mugabe, who had a conflict in the country. He was discharged there by Jean Ping, who was the AU chair by then, a Gabonese, to go and resolve the crisis. He went and met Morgan Vangirai and said sharing of power would be the only solution, and he spoke to Mugabe. That was how peace came to the nation of Zimbabwe. Now, right in our own house, we have such a treasure who has not been exploited, whose opportunity has not been given to him. Probably the ideas he has given, when it comes to conflict resolution, they don't follow party affiliations, you don't follow sentiment, you don't follow political cycle. You give practical solutions to solve the problem. I am sure on this platform I have given 5 steps, the Thomas Killman's principle to solve conflicts in the world, which has been applied in most other resolutions, and they have found success. It has been put on this very platform and is neglected. I am sure for those who are in the country who could not have access to the Prime Minister or the President, they have written solutions to the problem. A case is a person like Christian Cardinal Tumi of blessed memory, who also submitted vital information to solve the crisis. Now, when a people are self-centered, a people are egocentric and rigid, no matter the solution that is given to them, what does not please their ego is not applied. It's not because we lack conflict experts in this country. They are there, and I'm sure most of them have reason to proffer the solution, but because their own solution does not satisfy the desires of the government, it sounds as if they are not professional. If you accept that I am a professional, then you must be submitted to me to give you what you need to succeed. Dr. Ngwanyam is a medical doctor and a surgeon. If I go to the hospital, I don't detect for him what he has to do on me. That is his field. He's a specialist. I have to submit to him for him to manifest his expertise upon me. I was flying one time to the South African Airways from Cameroon to Gabon, and we flew and we all landed at the same time. And the voice asked me, do you know why you landed at the same time with the pilot? I said, no, because you submitted your time, your intelligence, your money, and your skill to his expatriate. You can go ahead without being the head. You can go ahead without being the head. We should not have head of state. We should have a head of state. People who are taking us ahead. If at all we actually accepted that we do not know how to solve conflict, and we call the persons who know how to solve conflict, and we are willing to submit ourselves to their wisdom and their expertise, then I'm sure the crisis would have been solved early long. It's because of bad faith, egocentric nature, self-centeredness, and having it our own way that makes us look like we don't have the solution around us. That's the problem.
Okay, these 2 children, I've just received information that these children missing. They were found at Clark's quarters today. This evening, they are at the 1st Police District, Boya town. These 2 children on the screen. Please, if your children are missing in Boya, these 2, I'm sure because of what happened in Boya today, they are missing. They are currently at the 1st Police District in Boya town. Thank you, Gobina Simon, for that information. We hope that anybody, if your child is missing or children are missing in Boya, please go to the Boya town 1st District Police Station. The children are there. We are continuing with our discussion. Let me get over to Success and Nkongho. Okay, it's no longer there. Prof. Mark Anthony. Now, are the experts themselves, because they have studied, they have trained. Somebody like you raised the issue of Tumfo Barrister Nkongho. We saw what he did for the funds in the Northwest. We saw what he did for the lawyers in Cameroon, because for a long time they were in problems and he came in. But is it the fact that they themselves have not opted, sold themselves, imposed themselves?
The blame can't go to these experts. The reason I would say that is because in a nation where party affiliations stands superior than wits and knowledge, we will find situations like that where individuals who have what it takes are neglected because maybe they are not in the party. We spoke, Dr. Nick mentioned the name of Professor Willibrod. Yes, that's an individual whom, by virtue of his academic portfolio and profile, we can definitely say he has an answer to this problem. But what will happen? Somebody like him will not be consulted. It doesn't mean that he has not proposed or maybe brought himself to the stage. He must have done that. When we look at somebody like Professor Barrister Nico Hale, Barrister Nico Hale is somebody who has proven himself beyond doubt. Using the situation of Zimbabwe, using the situation, in fact, there are several other situations which he had handled. But the question is, do you think he is the one who never wanted people to notice him in this government? The Cameroon government knows what he can do. He has proposed. And what has happened? Like always, he will be placed aside because they do not in any way look up to him like the expert. They'll prefer an expert who will come from abroad. I want to use a situation going to the football, Mr. Leo. I remember we have some guys who, like Jules, that is, I'm forgetting the other name, one coach who was Jules Nyonga, well trained with some of these guys, these white persons, came to Cameroon, he was underlooked. Then a white man comes, they pay him higher than he, who is even more qualified than the white man. Somebody who carried the Cameroon team to the finals. When you look at the way they treated him after, that's to make you understand that Cameroon does not cherish their own. They always expect help to come from abroad. And that is the kind of spirit that actually destroys individuals who are willing to contribute. Patriotism dies in the face of such leadership, where people who are willing to give their best are pushed behind, not appreciated. You end up feeling frustrated because you thought you could give something, but nobody wants your opinion. Okay. So you do not expect, you will not blame them. They have surely sold themselves, they have surely proposed, but the government does not accept.
Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, many persons are looking up to persons also like you. Some people are looking up to Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa. Do we have what it takes to solve this problem in Cameroon? And we are not doing so because increasingly some quarters think that solution can only come from out of the country.
No, solutions, we have the solutions right here with us, and it's very, very simple. It's a fight of two kingdoms, a kingdom of truth and a kingdom of lies. You just need to find out what the truth is and go for the truth, and it will set us free. It's a Bible principle, and it works. We are in a mess now because we have been functioning as a nation on the kingdom of lies, the kingdom of the devil. That's the bottom line. It's an issue of the kingdom of God and the kingdom of Satan. Move our thinking. Look for people who would drive the nation on the kingdom of God, which is the kingdom of truth, and there will be no problem. It's only about truth, the truth above everything. Just bring that truth on the table and let it boil the eggs, let it boil the yams and everything. Just truth. That is the only thing that's missing. What is missing from Cameroon and what is getting the nation to be crumbling is the lack of truth. And anybody who has that truth, even if it's a baby, can solve this problem. This problem, you can solve it. If we wanted to solve this problem in Cameroon, 2 weeks is too much. 2 weeks. I mean, in the first 2-3 hours where the right word is spoken, from the mouth of he that has the power to speak it, and 50% of the problems are solved. Just say, as a nation, this is the problem, these are the solutions, and we are going to attack it this way, and you give time frames, and you say, you do this, you do this, and in 1 week's time, you begin to see results. Not this running around. As you can run around the whole nation, but as long as you are lying, you are not going to solve a problem.
Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, do we have what it takes in here? If yes, what's stopping us?
Mr. Leo, are they telling us that Cameroonians are not intelligent enough to manage crisis? For your information, Cameroon is the most educated nation in Central Africa. For your information, we have the most intelligent people as far as Central Africa is concerned. Secondly, Cameroonians abroad are the brightest in their respective domains of specialty. Coming back to Cameroon, we have sat on our different TV screens and we have seen very intelligent Cameroonians dispense. The white man flying here is not coming to say anything that the Cameroonians have not spoken. There is nothing new that anybody on earth will come here to mediate and discuss that we have not presented as solution to this crisis. Is this superiority mentality we feel that somebody that flew from a jet and came here is more intelligent than those of us who are here? That is a very big lie. That's a lie. It's without mincing words. Me sitting here, I can handle this crisis if given the opportunity. What is in the Cameroon Anglophone crisis that we Cameroonians cannot handle? What is there? There is nothing special about this crisis. There are very intelligent Cameroonians. You and I have studied different crises in the world, and the people who even resolve the crisis are not as smart as we are. That's the truth. We have what it takes to put an end to this crisis. We have it. So I think the government should give opportunity for people who have what it takes to put the crisis on end to come into play. Because you can have the ideas.
Is it not also an issue? Is it not an issue of managing the resources that are made available
for us?
Yes,
that is the issue.
Yeah, but is that not where the problem is? That resources to solve the conflicts are there. The resources are there. Some people think that instead of handing it over to experts, they must manage it.
Must be the
and chop the money.
Self-interest. That is the reason why we fall back to what Dr. Nkongho said. There's the Ondezonians and the Anglozonians. Those are the people who do not want the resourceful persons in the country to. You see, I will go back to Pierre Olimumba. He said, it looks like those who have power do not have knowledge to rule. And those who have knowledge to rule do not have the power. So we are here, we may have the knowledge, but we are not given the power. And at the end of the day, it is him that has the power that calls the shots. That's the truth. So if at all we are here, we have the knowledge, without the power, you cannot rule. And he that has the power, has no knowledge, is the one that is deciding. How do you expect us to... Dr. Nick has an idea to solve the crisis. Will he jump to it today? And go and say, I stand today and I hit my hand. One crisis stop. I'm giving ideas every year from here. People have written to me from all corners of the world, appreciating what I do on television and how the ideas I give, they are so deep. But I don't have the power to execute it. So those who have the ideas don't have the power, and those who have the power do not have the ideas.
Can we have another listen to what Barrister Akuhmbom had to say with respect to this topic?
Country that is immensely blessed with human and intellectual resources. We have one of the most highly intelligent and resourceful persons in this continent. We have lots of historians, we have lots of negotiators and experts, we have lots of conflict analysis experts, but unfortunately, we only live in a country where the experts that the government considers are only experts who belong to a particular political party or who sing the song that the ruling party or the state wants to list it. So at the end of the day, it becomes difficult because they like people who would deceive them. We don't use the other experts that can be helpful. I think from the beginning of this conflict, if we had used experts, and I think till date, if we really have experts that if we use the experts that we have, it might go a long way in advising government objectively and logically on what they are supposed to do. And this is not only in the area of conflict prevention or resolution or negotiation or in the issue of this country. It touches across almost all sectors of the country, where you have seasoned professionals and experts, but because of their political affiliation, they are never considered, their opinion is never sorted out. We are at a very critical stage in the life of this country, and it's important, it's incumbent on the government to try as much as possible to get all the necessary experts on the table, to listen to them. Get even experts that they don't like or that don't buy their political philosophy. It's incumbent on them to talk to them, because if we don't do that, then we're not really trying to find a solution. If we do that, then they might advise government, and the problem is not only advising government also, it's whether the government is listening. Because if you have a government that is deaf, dumb and mute and adamant, you know, to the wishes and aspirations of the people, then no matter what kind of experts you bring, they might not be able to listen to them. So we need the government to be people-centric. We need a government that will listen to the people. And when they listen to the people, they will try to put in holistic measures in place that might contribute in calming down the tension.
The issue there he's raising, people are given responsibilities based on party lines. Is that not also where the problem is? That we are afraid if we hand this thing over to people, they may go against what is normally called party discipline. This is the policy of the party, so we have to work with persons who have a strong belief in the doctrine of the party.
That is exactly what I said when you asked me the first question here. The problem is that we have individuals who want to be fooled cowed at every given moment. They have a way they want that things should be dealt with. If you tell them things out of that box in which they find themselves in, you are not part of them, you are an enemy. So working with such a government is not easy. And I'll tell you this, Mr. Leo, concerning your question, if you look at it, you want to feel like ENAM has the best training that sends out the best of administrators. But you are shocked to discover that when they come out there in the field, they act like dictators. They act like, should I use the word, colonial masters, instead of saving the people. And that is the kind of way the government of Cameroon wants that things should be done. And so if you come with ideas that will want the government to submit to the will of the people, you cannot be listened to. Because I will tell you this, we are in this conflict simply because there is one of the parties that is sitting on a high horse. And the moment you tell this party on a high horse, come down and settle on a round table where there is no head, you have already created a problem. You will not be listened to. Okay. And so that is the situation in which we find ourselves in. So we are not, you see, we are not in this situation because we do not have experts. We are not in this situation because there are no solutions that have been provided. A lot of solutions have been provided. But what happens? They cannot be executed because it will not benefit some individuals. And as long as it will not benefit those individuals, we will remain in this crisis.
Are we not also in a fix because there is that fear for somebody said that in the program yesterday, if some people are afraid of a generational takeover, political takeover. True. In the southwest and northwest regions and maybe across the nation. So we have to.
I didn't know that also was happening, but it must be very stupid to be thinking that you can stop things from happening. You know, it's like trying to, you go in a river and the river is flowing downstream and you are trying to make if you like to build a dam, it will flow. I mean, you can't stop it. And that's why, you know, I've kept on talking about a progressive way of thinking, progressive way of doing things, and some people make a mockery of me. You can't stop it. It has to happen. It has to happen, and a lot of things have got to change in this nation, whether you like it or not. And I would say it without mincing my words that 80% of our problems in this country are caused by ENAM and their graduates. Listen, and to show you how it works, that ENAM comes from France. And they had their own ENAM there. I'm sure they've already abolished it even. And then we are still hanging on our own. But let's put it this way. France is a very big country, and I've given this example several times. Let's take a ruler and make a vertical line through France. And we ask all the administrators and ministers that come from, let's say, the west of France. to go on leave, and we come and carry our own ministers and our own SDOs and so on and take them to France and put them in the same seats. My question is, how long will they last in those seats before the French people chase them out? That is the acid test. If they last 1 week or 2 weeks, that's a lot. So if they cannot last 2 weeks in their master's place, why do you want they will land 30 years out? It will be a problem. So that is the problem.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking in parables, just reality. They can't go there, they will not work.
Okay, you mean that ENAS graduates in France, they perform, the ENAM graduates in Cameroon don't perform?
See, it's an issue of a mindset. One is performing like, the other ones are masters in their own place and they have their own system. But ours are second-class citizens. You understand what I'm saying? And in this area, all they do is punch people. Those ones over there are trying to grow the economy, the politics. Ours is just law and order, law and order. But it's a simple question, whether you know it or not. I'm asking the question, if you can answer it. Let's do an experiment, a practical experiment. Divide France in two. Get the people of the West, administrators, their ministers from the West and so on, to go on leave. Take our own from here.
ENAM graduates from here?
Yes, and our own minister. If you are a minister of territorial administration here, you are also minister of territorial administration over there.
In France?
If you are minister of whatever here, health, you are minister of health over there. How long will our own last before the French people chase them out? That's the problem.
Okay, Dr. Nick, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Before I give you back the microphone and say bye, just to remind everybody again that Cameroon is on the verge of change, and that change is fast coming. And baby, the baby's name is baby Carol Louise Diale, a Bakosi girl, 5 years old. This child's blood has not gone for nothing, and change begins today. And what we're looking forward to, there must be a new government, a new mindset, a new way of doing things. We'll end up with a West Cameroon and East Cameroon, no gendarmes and police in West Cameroon, no appointed SDOs and governors in the whole territory of Cameroon. Thank you.
Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Thank you, Cameroonians. Let the soul of our departed baby rest in peace, while we pray that God will strengthen and fortify the family for this great loss. We pray that Cameroonians also will take this in good faith, and pray that the blood of this child spilled upon the soil of this country will serve as a solution to the problems we have been facing.
Okay, we want to thank you to Professor Mark Anthony for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. It is always a privilege when we come and sit here. I want to extend my condolence also to the family of Robert Nvogo, who lost their son today because of the lynching of the people, and also to the family of baby Caroline. It is an unfortunate situation. We just have to keep praying and that things will change in this country as early as possible, in relation to what Dr. Nick just said here, that we are seeing a future according to his crystal ball. There's a future that is forthcoming.
Okay.
So
can we have the pictures of these two kids again? These children are missing in Boya. They were found at Clark's quarters this evening. They are at the first police district in Boya town. If your children are missing, please rush to the first police district, Boya town. The children are there. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of Prime R, the production team. We say thank you, and to everybody who worked for the success of this program this evening, we say thank you. Our condolences sincere to the family of the bereaved families, the killed little girl and the police officer or the gendarme officer. We say our condolences to the family. It must be painful also. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.